Great. So this is the bullish internal range that I'm actually focusing on. And for today, we have sell side below the previous day's low right here, and we have buy side above the previous day's high. So the reason why I map out the sell side and buy side use above and below the previous day's high is to just give me an overall target for the day and look for where price will most likely be drawn to on the lower time frames. So I have two pools of liquidity on the daily time frame that I'm looking forward to delivering price to. The first one is buy side above the previous day's high, and the second one is sell side below the previous day's low. After doing that, part of my daily process is that after doing my analysis and looking at where price will most likely be drawn to on the daily time frame, actually mapping out my pools of liquidity on the daily time frame, I actually journal it into my Notion template. So I just use hyperlinks to journal. I'll just do this. Yeah. And now we drop down to the 4H, as we already have our draws of liquidity from the daily time frame. Now on the 4H, you can actually see that price has mitigated this refined hourly point of interest, which is actually a pivot candlestick. Yeah, a pivot candlestick. And we also have we do have our swing structure, which is actually bullish right here, a bullish breakout structure. This becomes our strong swing low, and this becomes our weak swing high. However, since we've not had any significant pullback, I still don't want to label it as a weak swing high. And if you've noticed, I believe you can clearly see that price has mitigated these demand zone twice. And with each mitigation, there's been no serious bullish reaction from the zone. And we've already established that in order for price to make a continuation, price can either make a continuation from the mitigation of a point of interest, like this one here, and then we see the move upwards. So mitigation, then the move upwards, or price can actually make a continuation from the sweep of sell side liquidity. So that would be the sweep of fractal sell side liquidity below this low, and then you see the bullish continuation up there. Now, the only thing aligning me bullish right now happens to be the strong bullish momentum from the daily time frame, as we've clearly seen. However, I think there's cause for lower prices because this demand, it has not shown me any intention of actually holding price on the 4H. So just do this and record it and check on the 1H to see if there's anything significant in relation to price giving us a bullish continuation from that point. So on the 1H, I don't see any cause for higher prices. Instead, price actually mitigated this hourly 1H refined supply, and we've seen some bearish reaction from it. And the bearish reaction actually caused a bearish change of character because you have this candlestick that failed to break the previous candlestick's high, giving us a bearish change of character. However, from this demand right here, and I can actually refine it to this point of interest right here on the 1H, we've not seen any bullish change of character within this price action on the 1H because I don't actually have a fractal high. Now, some of you would consider this high right here a fractal high, but for me, I've seen that consistently such a high does not work for me when it comes to trading using the change of character as a signal. Why? Because for a fractal high, we need the last candlestick that failed to break the previous candlestick's low. Okay, and in this case, the reason why I have my fractal low at this point right here, is because this candlestick failed to break the previous candlestick's high. So it means that we had a fractal pullback right here, and so we have a fractal low. However, if we look at this piece of price action right here, this is the last candlestick that failed to break the previous candlestick's high. And we already had the bullish change of character from this point. However, that bullish change of character did not achieve anything because price actually went lower and broke a low right here. So that's just a signal that perhaps price is not ready to commit bullish from this demand. And we also have another demand zone right here, this refined right here, which personally I wouldn't prefer using. So I'll just wait for price to either sweep sell side below this low down here, which also happens to be a daily low. So right now I'm fully aligned bearish, and I hope you've understood why, given the reasons that I've stated. Now, dropping down to the M15, where things now get a little bit more interesting. Let me just make this disappear for some time. I'll get back to it. Now on the M15, my swing structure is bullish, and I'll just do this. So I prefer using fixed pip rules when working with swing structure. And on gold, you don't have to have such a large swing range as I see most of you doing, because you won't actually focus on the most recent price action, and you won't be able to manage expectations with price, which is actually one of the most important things to do when trading gold, because it can be very volatile, and once its volatility peaks, okay, yeah. So this is why I had my last bullish reconstruction gold. So for a swing range on the M15, what I simply need is a pullback sizable enough to make up 15 pips, okay? And if we measure this pullback right here, you can actually see that it did make 22 pips, which is around 2,000 points on gold, or 2,000 ticks. So it actually fits to be a bullish swing range given the size of the pullback, according to my pip rules, the pip rules that I use. So this is my swing range. And above, up here, we do have a strong swing high. We do have a strong swing high. And you can actually see the terms of low resistance, sell side, buy side liquidity that price was leaving behind, as it was playing the swing pullback right here. So what do I mean by terms of low resistance sell side liquidity? Low resistance buy side liquidity actually. So low resistance liquidity refers to the type of liquidity that price will actually sweep once without actually pulling back much. So contrary to the highs up here and the low down here, if price sweeps sell side below this low, it will actually give some kind of pullback before actually perhaps continuing bearish. However, with low resistance, price will sweep the entire pool of sell buy side without pulling back, just giving the continuation. For that, I'll refer you to a channel on YouTube named TT Trades. He actually explains it better than I can. So TT Trades on YouTube, yeah. Just go there and learn more on sell side and learn more on low resistance and high resistance liquidity. Now, swing structure is bullish, yeah. Price is in the swing pullback phase. What do we have within the swing pullback? We have some internal structure right here. So I know some of you take this low as an internal low, but personally I prefer when my mapping is kind of clear and clean. Just something so easy to understand. So I will take this as my internal low and take this high as my strong internal high. As for my weak internal low, I'll use this low down here after the sweep, because it's actually the low that actually delivered the internal pullback. Now, a bearish internal breakout structure. So I believe that all of you know at this point that internal structure simply exists to facilitate or to show us the beginning or ending of a swing pullback. So this is my weak internal low, which also happens to be my Asian low. So what do we have below the Asian low? We have sessional sell side liquidity. Now, this is my strong internal high. Did price mitigate this point of interest? Yes, it did, which is part of a supply chain, blah, blah, blah. It's at the extreme of the bearish internal range, and it had some strong bearish momentum. However, I think this was caused by a speech, I don't know, by Trump or someone. No, this was the week caused by the speech given by Jerome yesterday. And I also think that Trump was actually speaking yesterday, but I'm not sure of that. You'll have to do your own research on that one. Now, price has mitigated this point of interest at the extreme of the bearish internal range. Remember, I still have cause for lower prices. What's my cause for lower prices from the higher time frame? I'm looking to target sell side liquidity below the fractal low on the lower time frame, or below the previous day's low, which happens to be this low. And this low on the M15, it's my strong swing low. However, we do have sessional sell-side liquidity below it. And we also have this point of interest right here. However much it was formed during low volume hours, it can actually hold price and give the next bullish leg, if you are to see the next bullish leg from somewhere at the extreme of this range. Now, my other cause for lower prices happens to be sell-side liquidity below this Asian low down here. But then remember, with accepting to take a trade short at this point, which would be a phase C trade, it fully relies on the idea from the higher time frame that swing structure on the medium time frame might actually shift bearish, or that price might actually head for the sell side below the previous day's low right here, just to make the continuation. But remember that price at this point is within the daily and the 4H refined demand. So it's fully up to you to measure up the confluences you have and see if it actually makes sense going against. So sorry about that alarm. Going against that. No, now at this point, price mitigated supply delivered a bearish change of character right here. Now, what does a change of character signal? A change of character signals the end or a beginning of an internal pullback. So at this point, what do we have? We have a bearish internal range. After the bearish internal reconstruction, we see a sweep of sell-side liquidity right here. And after the sweep, price delivers, price enters the internal pullback phase. Price pulls back, mitigating supply at the extreme of the bearish internal range. Now, after mitigation of supply, price actually delivers a bearish change of character at this point. It is this bearish change of character that gives us the signal that the internal pullback is most likely finished and price is now ready to target the weak internal low. And another cause for lower prices is the sell side below this Asian low down here. Now, when you look at the OLHC and OHLC concept, you can actually see that we had our open price at this point. We have our low, we have our high. However, if you look at the anatomy of this candlestick, it looks like an indecision candlestick. Price is not actually committed to either side. So we are hoping, or we are looking forward to enter short following the bearish order flow in control to target the sell side below this low and potentially see the next move downwards that would lead to the sweep of sell side below this low. However, if that fails, our target automatically shifts to becoming the weak swing high up here. Sorry, this is the weak swing high because they are actually bullish. And the benefit of one upside of following of targeting the weak swing high is that it's in line with the higher time frame strong bullish momentum. So at this point, you can actually see that price mitigated this point of interest, the last buy to sell right here. And we have an M15 fractal point of interest right here, which is a flip zone. It's actually a flip zone, this zone right here. And below the flip zone, what do we have? We have inducement just below it. And what do we have above this high? We have buy side liquidity, tons of buy side. Now, it's the sweep of buy side into this point of interest that gives me my LC1 model. Remember, my LC1 is quite different from what okay, I don't know how to call it, but I'll just call it LC1. It's quite different from what MAT teaches or what MAT offers, because I don't use stop orders. That's the first kind of difference. And number two, I don't use the PBL matter. If you've noticed, or if you've realized, Thomas doesn't actually use the PBL matter. So yeah, working with stop orders don't work for me. In trading, it's all about finding a sweet spot and working with what works best for you. So we have this high, we have this weak high up here. What do we have above the highs? We have buy side liquidity. And the buy side is located just below a significant point of interest. So it's the sweep of the buy side above these highs into this point of interest that I'm looking to take advantage of to play a continuation of this bearish internal trend. So this is the entry that I'm looking forward to taking for this session. I guess it's this one here. Yeah, so this is the entry that I'm looking forward to taking. It's an LC1 according to my entry criteria and the naming of my models. I just call it an LC1 because it relies on inducement, leg, actually leg inducement, because this part of the bearish leg right here. So it's an LC1 leg inducement targeting the weak internal low and sell side below this Asian low. We still have cause for lower prices, but I'll just keep it simple at this point because certainty is a luxury that I cannot afford in this game of speculation. I'm not 100% certain that price will get to this low. I'm just speculating based on the patterns that I've seen before that price might actually get to this low. So with that, that is what I'm seeing for today. Yeah, that's okay. Can anybody please confirm that you can actually see my screen? Anyone, just please confirm that you can see my screen. Anyone? Any? Okay, yeah, Rock.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I actually thought that that I saw something as a video post and thought that you guys couldn't see my screen, but thank you for confirming. Now, I guess all I have to do is just wait for this entry to play out. Yeah, that's all I'm waiting for. It either plays out and as unspeculated, or it gives us a model for a continuation to the upside. That is all that I'm waiting for at this point in time. So let me just, in the meantime, I think I really do have to journal. So just do these and uh, I use Notion for my journaling. So on GU, the move that I was speculating or waiting for has actually played out. I tried catching it right here, but price shifted bullish. I tried catching some longs, got my fingers burnt with several DEs and one stop loss right here. And it's actually delivered the move, but I'm not in a position to catch it right now. So I don't think there's any point looking at GU because it has already delivered to whatever I was looking it for it to deliver to. The only point that I'm not looking for price to target would be sell side below this low. And I'm not so sure how my models really work on GU. However, if I take this point of interest, this one here, we have this flip zone right here because it did flip this area of demand. So it's a supply to demand to supply flip. We have this flip zone right here. And we also have this immediate flip zone right here, which flipped this area of demand. So it actually calls on you to look for a point of interest that will enter from targeting sell side below this low down here. So back to the M15, M5. I think I'll enter from this point of interest right here, this one here. Let me just see if there's any LC1 model. No, there's none. I'll enter from this point of interest, this one here, targeting sell side below this low. If it fails, then I'll just wait for price to mitigate the next point. Okay, this is the only point of interest that I can see on the M15, and I'm looking to target sell side below this low. So a risk entry won't really work for me because at this point it's now a phase A2 short. So I think I'll wait for a model on the M5 or on the M3. I never execute on the M1. I prefer executing on the M5 or the M3. So let's just go through GU from the daily time frame. Yeah, let's just go through GU because I really feel like it's about to deliver something right here. Now on the daily time frame, okay, let me check the weekly first. Weekly, okay, weekly, we do have this swing point on the weekly time frame. We do have this swing point on the weekly time frame, that one there. So this is the overall target that I'm looking forward to targeting on the weekly time frame. So daily, on the daily, on the daily, on the daily, on the daily, what do we have? Buy side above the previous day's high, which and there is no point waiting for price to go back to targeting. And the overall target is the week swing high down here. Don't forget that. But we're not here to swing trade. We're just here for the small moves that can actually give us something. It's up to you on how you decide to risk on the little positions you get. So gold, okay, it's nice. Now on the daily time frame, what do we have? We have our bearish swing range. Swing structure is bearish. Internal is bullish to facilitate the swing pullback. However, price mitigated demand at the supply at the extreme of the bearish swing range, and we've seen some very strong bearish reaction. Price mitigated this demand right here, tried to push price upwards, but at this point, there is really no point expecting this demand to hold because you've already seen price has actually failed to make the continuation from the first mitigation. Okay, at times, price can actually mitigate a point of interest twice or thrice before actually making the real move. But yeah, so this is what you have on the daily. This is the narrative that I have on the daily time frame. On the 4H, coming to the 4H, internal has actually shifted bearish because we have these candle body close right here, as you can clearly see. So I'm now just looking to follow that bearish internal trend to deliver price one, either two, this 4H refined demand, because we still have to assume that since swing structure is bearish, price might actually want to make a continuation from demand right there. However, from our narrative on the daily time frame, we understand that the overall swing trend is very bearish. Okay, so on the 4H, we actually have to assume because certainty once again is a luxury we cannot afford. So right now, my target is sell side below this Asian low right here, sell side below this low. That's what I'm simply looking to target. And perhaps if I'm mad enough, then sell side below this swing point on the daily. Okay, so down to the M15, down to the M15. Now on the M15, I really don't see the point of having this as my swing range, a bearish swing range, yet I already have a range right here large enough to be my swing range. So what do? I reset my swing structure to the most recent price action. So right here I have a bearish swing default structure. So I have a bearish swing default structure. So this high up here becomes my strong swing high. So there's really no cause for higher prices, for price to continue higher when you have everything we need. Just right here, just in this part of the bearish leg, yeah. So what are we looking to target? Sell side below this low down here. From which point of interest? On the M15, we have 2 points of interest, which are both flip zones. However, the one which appears cleaner or better on the M15 happens to be this point of interest right here. If I decide to take the last sell to buy, the last buy to sell, it would be this point of interest right there. The good thing about it is that it's a flip zone, so yeah. But as you can clearly see, price will most likely sweep the low before actually coming back into the zone. But let's just see how it goes. Yeah, let's just see how it goes. So yeah, this is my narrative for GU. I don't really trade GU that much because I don't understand the price action as I assume I do on gold. So that's why I'm never so confident with this pair. But when it comes to gold, I'm always so confident because I believe I've put in enough work and my understanding of the pair is actually quite nice. So let's actually see. For gold, this is the setup that you're waiting for. Target to play the continuation of the bearish internal trend, to target the weak internal low and sell side below this Asian low. Also potentially to either deliver price to this point of interest or eventually target sell side external range liquidity below this strong swing low down here, based on the narrative we have from the higher time frame. Or price can actually shift bullish and target the weak swing high. It's a double-edged sword. You just have to choose which side you prefer to rely on more than the other. So Yeah, at this point, unless there's anyone in the question, I think I've exhausted all the points or anything that I was supposed to say. So, do you were waiting for price at this point of interest rate? Yeah, this one here, instead of this one. So I'll just do this to ensure that nobody is confused. Waiting for price here, target sell side below this low. However, one thing you should note is that if price comes so close to this low, say up to here, don't consider entering from this point of interest if it pulls back after coming all the way down here. That's you'll actually be induced into the market. I've seen it do that more times. It won't make a continuation from the immediate point of interest. It might pull back perhaps to a higher place before actually making the continuation. So if it doesn't pan out as we anticipated it to, just let the move go. We still have very many more days before the end of this year because our target is to actually secure 100K in funding before the end of this year, which I believe we can all do. Yeah, I believe we can all do that. So gold, let's just check the M5 for something. Now, the reason why I told you that I don't prefer using such kinds of bearish changes of character on gold, you can actually see it right here. A person would map this as a bearish change of character on gold because you see we had this fractal pullback here, so they would take this as a fractal low. For me, I've clearly told you that I never use such a low as a fractal low because, to be honest, it isn't. But yeah, so yeah, the next time you see such a low, don't use it when you're trading gold. Do not use it. If at all you want to use such a low, then wait for a change in the state of delivery. And I'll give you that example from yesterday's price action, just to ensure we go through it. From yesterday's price action on the M3, yeah, it was the M3 where I took this confirmation entry. So let me just ensure you guys get this straight, yeah. Now, if you look at the M3 right here, at this point, what do we have? Price pulled back into this M3 point of interest, mitigated this POI twice. And right here, we have a low that is similar to the lows that we've been seeing, this low down here. However, for me, I would not consider this a bearish change of character because there is no fractal low right here. The real fractal low that we have is this low down here. So this is where the bearish change of character actually occurred because it's the last candlestick within this bullish leg that failed to break the previous candlestick high. So it's a clean fractal low. For this one here, from a series of down close candles, we have our up close candles. So from this series of up close to this down close, what do we have right here? From the body, not from the wick, from the body, we have a change in the state of delivery. So when you have such a low, consider using a change in the state rather than a change of character. If you can see a true chalk line, as we've seen, this being our true change of character, if you can't see anyone close, then just consider using the change in the state change in the state in delivery and take a confirmation entry from there. So I took my first confirmation entry from this point, but it wasn't really clear. And I guess that's why I actually sat it out. This was the entry right here from this M3 point of interest. From this M3 point of interest, the last buy to sell. Yeah, this was the entry, this one here. And it was not based on a change of character, but rather it was based on a change in the state of delivery. Now, for a change in the state, you actually need a candle body close. Not just a weak break like for a change of character. For a change in the state, you need a candle body close. So yeah, that's what I wanted to bring to your attention so that the next time you don't actually make such a mistake. And you can actually go and test it. Where you have such kinds of changes of character without a true chalk, price will more often than not actually disregard such a change of character because it isn't a true chalk. That's just what it is. If you look at it by definition, it is not a true change of character. So for this one here, has price swept buy side above this high? No, it hasn't yet. So what do? We just sit on our hands and wait. As for GU, price might actually pull back to our point of interest. So I guess we'll just have to keep on waiting, yeah? Just have to keep on waiting. So with trading, you actually have to master patience and the courage to actually believe in your setup that eventually it will play out. No matter what price actually does, no matter what happens in between, once you have your setup and you set your order and done all the necessary work, leave the rest to the market. Don't try chasing certainty. And that actually brings me back to a point that I've seen disturb most of you within the photon discussion channel. A lot of you are chasing certainty when once again I repeat this that certainty is a luxury you cannot afford in the market. You can never be certain of anything in the market. All you can do is have your playbook and execute according to your playbook or your setups. But having certainty in the market is the biggest no of the millennium. Because now, what most of you actually do, you start by learning Photon, say for a month. You try trading Photon as it is without any kind of personal backtesting or refinements to what actually works for you. And after a month of losing trades, you actually say that the entry model doesn't work. The system does not work, being Photon in this case. And what you actually do, you start looking for more strategies. You start asking us if it works or it doesn't. And now you start chasing more learning when what you need is not more knowledge. You don't actually need more knowledge. The knowledge you have is enough for you. It's actually enough to make you successful in trading. But the variable is you. Now, one constant with all these, I actually say this in the channel, but when it comes to trading, ICT does work. SMC works. Fortune as it is works. Phantom works. YCOP and whatever works. The chart patterns work. That's a constant to everyone. They actually work. But the variable is you. Now, why am I saying that a person is a variable? A human being in this case has emotions: fear, greed, and hope, which are the main drivers in the market. Now, when we are winning as humans, we actually get greedy, we want more, we hope for more, and we're actually fearful of losing the little that we've actually made. So we are driven by all these emotions. So gold has been tagged in on my side. So the best thing I can do right now is just sit on my hands and wait. Now, you being the variable in this case, you have all these emotions that can either be acting against you or acting in your favor. But then, what we actually have to do as humans is to change how we view emotions. Remember, we've always viewed emotions as our enemy while trading. But rather, if we shifted and tried to view emotions as a signal rather than an enemy in trading, but instead as a signal of what we need to look into. If you're fearful of losing what you've made, then it means that the fear is reflective of some other areas of your life that you actually haven't covered. If you're fearful of losing what you've made, it actually means that you still have some, you either have a weak financial life or you just have a weak mindset when it comes to handling money. And that is the thing you need to sort. You don't need to be fighting fear. You need to sort the things that actually that the fear is trying to signal you to look into. Okay, if you look, the best example Jared Tendler uses is that if you go to a doctor, you have a headache, and the first thing they'll ask you are either the symptoms or whatever. So the symptoms of the disease you have are actually a signal to what the doctor needs to look into before giving you a prescription. Treat your emotions in the same manner. Okay, so gold has been tagged in. I'll just check the M5 to see if there's a potential scaling because there's an account I'm working on and I've been at it for a very long time. But now that it's actually in a good place, I can actually handle. So we have an M5 fractal low right here. So I'll be waiting for an M5 bearish change of character at this point because we'd have a sweep, a mitigation of an M5 point of interest, a bearish change of character, delivering an M5 confirmation entry. Back to GU. GU, we're still waiting for it at this point of interest. Remember, gold has tagged us in, yes. We are so far seeing a great reaction, but we are only speculating based on the confluences we have for entering this trade short. It's not a guarantee that this trade is going to work. Keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. Just have that at the back of your head. And guys, I've really never done this before, so okay, I've never really traded live and trade tagged in when I'm live, so I really don't know how to handle emotions and stuff right now. So, but let's actually see now on the M3 we have a closer change of character, but I'm not looking to be aggressive at this point. I think I'll just wait for the M5 very shade of character. The only risk to that is that by the time price gets down here, if at all it will, there is a high risk of not being tagged in, just to ensure that you have a point of interest for the next bearish leg. Okay, that's a point too complex for some of you right now, so I'll just leave it to you at that point. Let us just see how this trade plays out, and yeah, I guess that's all. For GU, we'll have to wait. Now, is there any pair that any of you would like us to go through or just look at it in terms of analysis or anything, any pair? I tried looking at NQ yesterday. I got a short, but well, that pair, it's an index actually. It's kind of beachy. What the fuck? Like, okay, let me just show you what I saw on NQ yesterday. The short I took on NQ. It was actually right here. Yeah, here is the short on NQ. I noticed a sweep below this low, a sweep above this high, and after the sweep, I realized that we have a bullish swing range right here. Now I was looking to deliver price to this point of interest for this, yeah, just to play the continuation. I really don't know much about NQ, so price. Okay, at this point, I was looking to play bullish continuations, but I realized that bearish order flow has been in control for some time, and it might actually be time we see that bearish move. So I treated this as a sweep of liquidity. So what do we have here? An M15 LC1 into this point of interest. However, I was not confident in taking that LC1, so I dropped down to the M3 to look for a model, and it was actually very clear on the M3 that after the sweep of this buy side into this point of interest, what do we have? An M3 LC1. After the sweep, price delivered a very change of character. And it's here that it took the confirmation entry short. So yeah, and it delivered 3R. It was a nice trade, but since I don't really trade NQ, understand it, I couldn't trade in the channel because then I would be a hypocrite because I tell people focus on one pair or maximum of two and just be a master of one, blah, 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 and then I go and try out. That would be some kind of cheating. But yeah, it actually kind of delivered, and I say so. But I did not like the price action here, so it's not on my watch list. On my watch list, I have gold, micro gold features because I'm actually looking into features, and we have GBPUSD, which I also don't like. Yeah, I don't like GU. I don't like GU. But for the micro gold features, I'm looking into the futures market, and pretty soon I'll just shift into futures. But it's so costly. Trading futures is costly, but if you do your own research, you can actually realize that there are some farms that actually make it cheap. Farms like the next have plans that might actually favor people that still can't pay for all the subscriptions and monthly fees. Battery is running low, so let me just turn on my charger. Yeah, so Yeah, why do I want to shift to futures? Um, it's a really great space actually. Okay, let me just show you the price action on MGC1, which is micro gold futures. So yeah, before I actually go into futures, there's something I want to talk to you a lot about from the daily time frame. I can remember very many people were aligned bearish when gold was and people actually saying that gold was actually ranging. I was wondering, where is the range? I can clearly understand the price action right here. And yeah, but what actually gave me the idea that price would actually sweep this high was the price action on micro gold futures. Because I noticed that the high on MGC1 was already swept, and the sweep was not because of a crossover. It was actually a sweep. Just you can actually see it was swept on um, 8th of August 2025, and on spot gold it was swept on 22nd September. So it actually so yeah, by August I already had an idea that price would actually head for this high on spot gold. So yeah. I don't want to lose you guys so much about the details that are kind of unnecessary at this point. But I just want to shift to the futures market, but I'll still be trading on these forex and CFD firms, but I'll be more focused on futures. The futures markets are actually great, can't be manipulated, and I think I just love it. I just love it. And with time, I'll actually be trading bigger. Okay, in futures for gold, the micro gold futures, it's similar to the lot size and stuff. Micro for 0.01 and 0.1 stuff, and then you have mini gold for 0.1, and then you have um, gold futures. We have wait, where is it? Yeah, we have gold futures which one and stuff, standard lot, we all those things. You can do your own research. But yeah, I think that's all there is to me. So yeah, we have an M5 bearish change of character at this point. So if I'm looking to scale in, how would I scale in from? From this M5 point of interest right here. This is where I would scale in from. Now remember, it wouldn't actually pay me to over refine my point of interest on the M5. So I think I'll just take the last buy to sell as it is and take the M5 confirmation entry from here. However, I have to wait for a candle body close for this candlestick because it's last candlestick. And the rules for doing point of interest clearly state that you must have a candle body close on your first candlestick. It's such rules that actually keep the consistency that you have and keep you going. Consistency, and discipline actually make you better and make things easy for you rather than just focusing on random things, random times. It's actually boring if you do that. Just one thing that works for you and stick to that, man. Stick to it. GU and the M15, GU can be quite bitchy sometimes. I really hate this player, but it delivers some very solid entries at some points in time, but can be very bitchy at times as well. So let's see how it goes, my people. Let's see how it goes. And the channel can actually be very disappointing at times. 328 members, yet I only had a target of 6, but we all have to start from somewhere. However much small it is, we all have to start from somewhere. 6 is my starting point. I'm grateful for that. And hopefully, some days in the future or some days to come, we'll actually grow in numbers within the channel and also grow in numbers um, with the live streams and stuff. I've never actually had the confidence of live streaming, but here we are. I'm actually doing it today, and it's kind of great just talking with you lot through transaction and all that stuff. So, On GU, this is this movie is gone. This movie is gone forever. We'll never see it again. It's gone. There's no point of waiting for anything at this point because yeah, it actually delivered. So gold waiting for a candle body close for the first candle, and then enter here for my scaling and then confirmation entry. We have a cause for lower prices, and that is what I'm sticking to. So yeah, let's actually see how this candle closes. That's what you're waiting for. That's what you're waiting for. That's what you're waiting for. That is what you're waiting for. So let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let us see. Okay, that's some net bearish reaction right there. Oh, and I've actually realized that managing trades on gold can be very hectic, guys. It can be very hectic for real. I'll show you why I say so. Managing trades on gold can be very hectic, and I've been having the same experience for a very long time. And yesterday it happened to me once more, and I was quite sad about it because I've put in all the work, I've done everything I have to do, and actually got a model. And then management actually fucks me up. It can make you question a lot of things, but then in the end, you just realize that it is what it is. So you just accept everything as it is. You accept what's been given to you. So this is my scaling, just 3R. So yeah, let's see how this one goes. After this, I don't think there's any reason for still being in the live session. So I think I'll just end it. Or should we just go through management and stuff? However, I'm really trying this thing of to avoid this stuff called management. Because guys, okay, let me just set this limit and then walk you through what actually happened to me yesterday. And it can be very discouraging, hectic whenever it happens. And that yesterday was not the first time it happened. So entry. If you make the entry at 0.618 of that bearish range, I believe by now you've actually been tagged into the trade. But if you decided to go for the point of interest, I don't know if you'll be tagged in or not, but let's just sit on our hands and wait. Personally, I usually try and avoid making entries at 0.618 of that range because it's something that I believe I cannot work with consistently in the long run. Yeah, it's okay. Now, the reason why I say management is the biggest scam of the millennia, this is what actually happened to me yesterday. If you look at this entry, this M3, it was an M3LC1, or you can just call it an M5LC1, because you'll see that this point of interest right here was actually refined on the M3. So it was the sweep of this buy side into this point of interest that gave me the M3 LC1. My overall target was 5R because I had cost for lower prices, which was to deliver price to this point of interest. So I was targeting 5R. However, and I was kind of lucky that news gave that, that very move, because it actually propelled me to 3R. Now, after getting to 3R, I took off my partials and stuff, and yeah, I trailed my stop loss to break even. And what happens? Price takes me out at break even and then gives this bearish continuation. Guys, I was so traumatized because, this is something that has been happening very many times. And I've always said, I will not trail my stop loss to break even. But you know that with the humans, as I've already said, and as I agree, when money is on the table, we get emotional. And the major emotions that are in control at such times are fear, hope, and greed. Now, I was fearful of losing what I had already made, and I was actually greedy to make more because I want to get done with this evaluation and get the money. I need the money. So emotions are actually a signal that it's the money that I want. I need to fix this money problem before bringing it into the market. So yeah, and this thing, such a thing has happened to me several times, and when you're taken out at the even, you may actually be tempted to re-enter aggressively, and also you can make a lot of mistakes. So the best thing to do is to sit on your hands and protect your energy, protect your star, protect your shine, rather than spiraling out of control. So this push upwards, let's actually see what it might be. So okay, coming back to the M15, the scaling feels like a really bad idea because you can actually see the aggressive move upwards into the mitigation of this point of interest right here. This point of interest. And remember, it's not a weak point of interest. It's actually some kind of strong point of interest because it delivered a bullish change of character. So let's see. What about GU? GU swept the low, so this point of interest is kind of useless to me at this point. So yeah, I think we'll just have to wait and watch how gold actually plays out. So the rest is up to you, and I think we've had a great session today. So in case unless there's any question, I think I'm just gonna have to leave this session because in Kenya we are kind of busy given the tough times in our economy. So yeah. So unless there's any question, actually Kenya is a very funny country, given our president and stuff. We were actually so hurt with what we saw occur recently, where he went to the US, and funny thing is that in the US, our president was walking very comfortably on the streets. Um, but back home, guys, believe me, the president has a presidential motorcade or whatever made up of more than 50 vehicles. Like he needs all this kind of protection with country. Yet going to the US, the guy was actually strolling on the streets of New York like some investor on Wall Street or something. Guys, it was so ironical and funny and sad because back home we really have a lot to do. Like there's much to do to our economy, to our whatever. And oh my God, this kind of leaders that our parents chose, but it already happened, and apparently we're told authority comes from God, so you have to respect it. In the meantime, guys, just do your best with this trading stuff. Trading actually works, but believe me, you ought to put in the work. You have to put in the work, and putting in the work does not mean putting in hours of useless backtesting, because you can actually be backtesting for hours and think that you're actually making progress when you're not. Remember, it's not more knowledge that you need, it's performance. Just putting the knowledge that you already have into practice. And how do you do that? You do that by using a system. It's a system that will ensure that even you no longer become a variable in your trading. Remember that, guys. So go through this video after you post it in the channel, and thank you very much for being part of this session. It was nice. I actually liked it. So unless there's a question, I think I'm gonna have to end it here. Unless there's a question from any of you lot, anybody, anyone, anyone. So I guess there's no question. So thank you for being part of Triad, and I really hope that you guys are liking it there. Thank you. Have a lovely evening. So yeah.